Welcome, everyone, to our special council meeting for Monday, September the 11th. We'll start around the table asking councilors if there's any disclosure of pecuniary interest and/or conflict of interest. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, we'll move on to other business. 2A, CEO, West Lincoln Public Library, Ms. Vanessa Holm, and Supervisor of Arena and Parks, Mr. Bob Dennison. This is to talk about report LIB 01-2017 Wellandport Library Edition project. Councillor Bell, you have that resolution, please.
Okay, I do. Okay. That report LIB-01-217 Real Wellandport Library Edition project dated September 7th, 2017 be received, and that West Lincoln Public Library Board accept the tender submission by Brower Construction in the amount of $1,110,000 plus HST to renovate and expand the Wellandport Library and Community Center, and that council be requested to adopt a bylaw authorizing the mayor and the clerk to enter into an agreement with Brower Construction, moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Godin.
Thank you, councillors. Moved by Councillor Bell and second by Councillor Ganam. I will ask if Ms. Vanessa Holm and perhaps Mr. Dennison could just give us a little background on this, and then I'll ask for comments and questions from members of council. Ms. Holm?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, as you know, the Library Board and Council approved the Wellandport Library Community Center project. We circulated a tender for the project and received 9 tender submissions by the closing date of August 31st, 2017. Of the 9, 2 were non-compliant, so from those, we had 7 to work with. The lowest qualifying bid in the amount of $1,110,000 plus HST was received from Brower Construction. Myself and Township of West Lincoln staff do recommend acceptance of the tender submission by Brower Construction.
Okay, thank you so much for that brief overview. Members of council, is there any comments or questions for either Ms. Holm, Mr. Dennison, or Mr. Hutima? Councillor Bell.
Through you, Mayor Joyner. I guess my first one is that quite happy the bid come back a lot lower than what was actually put out there. I guess the question I'm asking is that with the library addition, it's different than what the MERS is. It's not a design build, it's an addition. So with that being said, that's a major renovation of $1,110,000. Who's going to look after the funds? Who's going to manage the money to make sure that where it's going, the amounts are right? I look at the amounts here, and I'm just a little concerned who's going to look after it.
Okay, very good question. Ms. Ho?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to you, Councillor Bell. So it will be a combination of myself as the CEO, as well as the project manager. Hank Utima takes care of invoicing, and of course the township's finance department. So we'll all be working together to make sure the funds are spent appropriately and that we stay under budget.
Okay, very good. Councillor Bell?
And, yeah, again, I was looking for an explanation of the numbers. For example, budget is as follows: the plan design was 127, management of it was 33, the contingency was 120,000. Yet when you read through it, it says a contingency is included in the bid tender, and there was $47,000 left over from that. So I'm a little confused there. But obviously Hank's not here, so.
Hank is here.
Oh, sorry, yeah. So I was just kind of looking for some kind of explanation because, again, who's handling the finances? So I'm a little confused with the numbers.
So, Ms. Holm, can you just explain how you get to the star portion there where it says the tender submission includes a mandatory additional contingency of $75,000 for a total remaining contingency of $123,462? Maybe just walk us through that, how that came to be.
Okay, sure. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to you, Councillor Bell. So when we originally applied for the project, we had to break down it as follows into plan, design, engineer, management, contingency, and construction, and the costs are as follows. The contingency portion was the max amount that we could put in the grant application for $120,000. And that could cover, according to our application and the grant parameters, any amounts that were over in plan, designing, engineering, project management, or repair construction. So when we got the bids back, the amount that we had estimated for construction, $1,058,000, didn't cover the lowest tender that we got. When we applied for this grant a year and a half ago, we had no way of foreseeing that construction costs would go up. Some have estimated 20% in the past year. So because of that, working with the project manager, Hank Utima, we also built into the tender a mandatory additional contingency of $75,000. So although we've had to use up some of the 120 for the costs of the construction, because of the additional 75,000 that is built into the costs of construction contingency, we still have a remaining $123,462
As a contingency.
as a
as
contingency
well.
to cover, right,
Okay.
anything.
Okay. Any other questions, Councillor?
Yeah, I'm still not totally clear, to be honest with you, because as I read through some of the documents, you talked about $47,000 being the leftover contingency fund. It was in one of Hank's documents. Just looking forward, to be honest with you.
Okay, just a little bit more clarification.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, to you, Councillor Bell. So when we look at the lowest cost that we got, the bid, it is $1,110,000. And that, plus the fact that repair construction, we estimated at being $1,058,000. We did have to use some of that $120,000 contingency. So of the original contingency that was accepted in the grant application, $48,462 is left of that. And again, that $120,000 was to cover overages in any category, whether it was construction or project management. So that $48,462 of the original application, combined with the $75,000 mandatory in the tender for the construction company, equals the $123,462.
That was the number, yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other members of council? Councillor Chichuk?
Much like Councillor Bell, all I want to make sure of is that we understand where the numbers are coming from, because as with MERS, we've got two major projects going on and we don't need to have huge overruns. And I know Mr. Hutema, I'll get it right. Sorry about that, is managing these. But could you explain, maybe I missed it, but the $75,000, where did it go? Because it's saying the tender submission includes a mandatory additional contingency of $75,000. So I'm confused. 120 minus 52 would give me the 48, or where the numbers just I'm struggling with. 75,000 is included where? Is that included in the base price for the tender submission? So we moved up the tender submission to 1129, and included in that number is the $75,000 contingency, or that's the new cost of construction?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, to you, Councillor Chichuk. The $75,000 was a mandatory cash allowance contingency that anyone bidding for this project had to include in their bid.
We mandated that. Apologies.
We mandated that.
Okay,
Okay.
so, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, through you, and I'll continue. So the 1,129,538 has the contingency that we mandated be in there for overruns, because this is not design build, but repair. You might open the wall and find something you didn't expect.
Correct. Through you, Mr. Mayor, that is the mandatory amount that we mandated they had to carry just in case to cover any of those costs. It's still there. It's part of their bid, so it's built into the cost there.
Which still leaves Brower the lowest, but we still have oversight. They cannot spend that 75 without coming back through Mr. Hudema and/or yourself and Bob, through our committee, to say, we got a problem here, we have to spend a little of that.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And then the 48,000 is in addition to that.
That's
Thank
correct
you.
as
And I'm
well.
only asking those questions just to make sure, because I think we're having a problem with who's going to be responsible for spending and when. But the $48,000 is still ours. My original question, Mr. Mayor, was with the construction of the new library, there's probably going to be some money or some saving, or we can transfer some of the furniture and equipment to Wellandport if we started running into a cash crunch. Would that be a fair statement? And it would work without compromising the beauty of that facility?
Through you, yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, to you, Councillor Chichok. That is the plan. We have been working with our architect to talk about the possibilities of doing so. Right now at Smithville, we have wooden shelving that still looks quite nice. And we're hoping, of course, it's not accessible, but we're hoping that we're able to do some alterations and transfer that for use to Wellandport, to the new facility there.
Thank you. And if I could continue, Mr. Mayor. So that means that as time went on and monies became available, we could still replace that if we wanted to, or if we felt it was not adding to the overall beauty of the renovation. Okay. I guess the concern I had, Mr. Mayor, and through you, $48,000 was a very small was a small contingency, given that it is a renovation. And I know when we did things at our house, we didn't expect the mouse to have eaten the electrical cord and various other things. So we will still have things that we don't know about. We should all know now that there's likely to be surprises, hopefully not of any great nature. Is that correct? It's like any construction, but we don't know what's behind the wall in every case and corner. So there's likely to be people coming forward to say, tell us what's happening, because we don't get to clear the slate and start new. We get to do it. I just want to put that out there, because, you know, if you come back and tell us that you've spent the entire $48,000, that's not going to be, I don't want you to, but this being not new construction, there could be something like an abatement of tile or something that we didn't foresee, but it could come back and we could be told that you've gone into the 75,000 or to the 48. Okay. That being the case, on a regularized basis, much like with our other project, there will be a report coming forward that talks about any overages, underages, which take us into the contingencies, and I don't want every last penny, and I know this acting CAO has got me on record for that, but we'll get through to a process where you'll tell us, we found something, we spent money.
Ms. Hall?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, absolutely.
I'm not trying to catch you up, Mr. Mayor, through you. I'm just trying to put this all on the carpet, that we should expect that it's not going to come in at $1,129,538. There might be 29 cents after it. The number could change, and you will be using the contingency if that occurs, right?
Correct.
Ms. Langley?
Through you to members of council, with respect to use of the contingency, certainly as the project moves forward, small amounts, we wouldn't be reporting on small changes that would delay the project, and we're under a timeline. So I think substantial should be identified, and we would report on such things as substantial. But as long as we're within the contingency amount, we need to keep this project moving forward. So we will report any large amounts, but small stuff, I think that we will, staff will manage that. That's how it should be.
Okay, thank you.
And that's really where I was headed, Mr. Mayor. If I could, it was just that I want to make sure that we all realize that's the amount. It all adds up, and we will get regular reports. It will be managed by everyone from our CAO down to the project team, and on a regular basis, if required, we'll hear about it.
CEO. Yeah, okay.
CAO, both of them. What I was trying to say, CAO,
Oh, and
CEO.
Okay.
Everyone's in on this one. It's a team. And
Right.
I've worked with the team, and they're working very well together. So thank you very much.
Good, thank you. Councillor Bell for a second time?
Yep. Just clarification through yourself, Evans. Councillor Chichek talked about $48,000 in the contingency. In reality, we have $123,000. We have the $75,000 that's built into it. Plus, we have, if required, an additional $48,000. Would that be correct?
Ms. Hall?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, that is correct, Councillor Bell.
Okay. Seeing no more questions or comments, again, moved by Councillor Bell and second by Councillor Gann. One, that report LIB 01217, which is the Wellandport Library Edition project dated September 7, 2017, be received. And two, that the West Lincoln Public Library Board accept the tender submission by Brower Construction Limited in the amount of $1,110,000 plus HST to renovate and expand the Wellandport Library and Community Center. And three, that council be requested to adopt a bylaw authorizing the mayor and clerk to enter into agreement with Brower Construction Limited. Seeing no more questions or comments, sure, go ahead, Councillor.
Once it's approved, then it is approved tonight. Just a question, Ms. Holman, when's the shovel going in the ground? When's starting when's the pre-construction meeting? What's your schedule? Obviously, it needs to be passed tonight, and then further from that, but what is the timeframes in your mind that can be something happening out there?
Mr. Hutima?
Quick answer is right away.
Okay.
We have an email ready, drafted, if we get approved tonight, we'll go in the morning, because we have contractors chomping at the bit, get going. Vanessa's ready to go, so there's a bunch of things that need to happen, paperwork for Carolyn, contracts, insurance, bonds, et cetera.
Yeah.
And mobilize the library's got to vote. I think it's happening this week. We're open, I'm open next Monday.
Next Monday, probably pre-construction meeting, and then
We'll
there's a
handle
Brower
that
schedule.
at that point this week if possible. We have a deadline of March 31st, so not a lot of time, so.
Yeah. Okay.
The quicker we get on that
Just curious.
ground, the better it is.
Thank you, Mr. Irvin. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, no problem, Councillor. Okay, so I will call the vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, we'll move on to bylaws. Bylaw 2017-95, to authorize an agreement between the Corporation of the Township of West Lincoln and Brower Construction Limited for the renovation and expansion of the Wellandport Library and Community Center. Councillor Bilesma, you have that resolution, please.
Review moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Canaan that we be granted to introduce bylaw 2017-95, and the same shall be considered to have been read a first, second, and third time with one reading, and are hereby adopted, and that the mayor and clerk are hereby authorized to sign and affix the corporate seal thereto, any rule of this council is contrary notwithstanding.
Thank you. Councillors, you've heard the resolution. Moved by Councillor Bilesma and second by Councillor Gann. Is there any comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, so then the adjournment, the mayor declared the meeting adjourned at the hour of 6:22. Thank you, everyone.